Today on What the F News. A pastor in Connecticut is caught walking through the valley of the shadow of meth. A French man spent 8 years building the Eiffel Tower out of matchsticks, just for the Guinness committee to say,
I don't give a f.
An organ in Germany has been playing the same song since 2001, and damn it, we're just waiting for the beat to drop. And a 200-foot tower completely vanishes in Alabama overnight. Is it the work of UFOs? Or is it simply some good old deep south crackhead ingenuity? I have 11 brand new stories that'll leave you wondering how much red dye 40 these people are really consuming. So stay tuned. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of What the Fuck News, your source for the top WTFs from around the globe from this past week. I am your host, Craig. As always, if you do enjoy the episode, don't forget, like and subscribe. So let's jump right into this week's story, shall we? A Connecticut pastor has been charged with selling crystal meth out of his church's rectory. The Reverend of the United Methodist Church in Woodbury was taken into custody after police received a tip regarding the drugs. My personal favorite part, though, look at this guy. This Walter White-looking motherfucker. I mean, I think it's obvious somebody has been watching way too much Breaking Bad. Police said they arrested the pastor at the church when a cooperating witness helped them set up a bogus drug deal, and that the pastor was in possession of crystal meth in both rock form and liquefied form that had been placed in hypodermic needles. The pastor has been charged with possession of narcotics with the intent to sell, possession of a controlled substance, and the use of drug paraphernalia. A stingray at the aquarium and shark lab in Hendersonville, North Carolina, has researchers saying, "What the fuck?" Yeah, it seems as though the stingray got down and dirty and forgot to wrap it up, and now their little princess is pregnant. But here's the thing. According to the aquarium, they have no male stingrays. Now, if we have learned anything from our childhood, Dr. Ian Malcolm has been trying to tell us since 1993
that life finds a way.
And I would also just like to throw out that if you don't know who Dr. Malcolm is, you're dead to me. This is being treated as one possible conclusion, as the vet did note that there have been cases of asexual reproduction without fertilization in stingrays. But it's also possible that the little buns in the oven came from what was considered a previously unlikely source. 2 months before showing signs of pregnancy, 2 male sharks were moved into the stingray's tank. And there have been instances in the past of crossbreeding. And on top of that, the vet did find bite marks on the stingray, which does occur when male sharks are attempting to mate. So it may be strange, but it might be possible that sharks...
You are the fuck!
The aquarium is waiting on the delivery to have their answer. This organ, right here, is playing a 639-year-long song, and it just changed chords for the first time in 2 years.
A few moments later. More moments later. One eternity later.
Oh shit! The organ was tasked with playing a composition as slow as it possibly could, and it's definitely living up to the challenge. Crowds gathered at a church in Halberstadt, Germany this week to observe the instrument as volunteers added a pipe to alter the song. The organ is currently 23 years into the performance of a John Cage composition that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. It's this. The piece began playing in 2001 and will conclude in 2640, and the next scheduled change in its sound will not occur until August of 2026. Now, upon my research, this is a pretty complicated process, as this organ is actually being built as the song progresses. But instead of trying to explain and butchering exactly what the hell's going on, because I don't know the first damn thing about organs, jump into the description for a link to the full story. Next, a gang in Havana, Cuba stole 145 tons of chicken this past weekend in a very bizarre heist. And yes, these were live chickens. And with that weight, that's said to come out to anywhere between 33,000 and 53,000 chickens. The chickens were stolen, as well as the truck carrying them, from a state-owned facility in the capital city, and the thieves made away with 1,660 boxes full of poultry. This incident is taking place in what is now being seen as a profound economic crisis in Cuba, where the availability of chicken via the ration book system has decreased dramatically in the past few years. But the thieves look to capitalize on this by selling the stolen goods on the streets. But the dumbasses were caught not too long after because, well, it is Cuba and everything's on the ration system. I don't necessarily think it's common to see people selling chickens on the side of the road. So far, 30 people have been charged, including shift supervisors, IT personnel, security guards, and external individuals not directly affiliated with the company.
Free the peach! Free the peach! Free the peach!
A horde of protesters in thongs and G-strings showed up to peacefully protest and support the Gold Coast Free the Peach movement. Local businessman Ian Grace, aka Party Pooper of the fucking century, has proposed a ban on thongs and G-strings on and around the beach. According to the proposal, Grace wants to ban the skimpy bottoms because they risk sexualizing children and it makes some people, including himself, uncomfortable. Well, you know what, dude? Cargo shorts make me incredibly uncomfortable. Like, what the fuck are they hiding in those ugly little pockets? Can we ban those? But the Australian protesters believe that this is impeding on their freedom of choice. As an ass man myself, I would just like to send a big fuck you to Mr. Ian Grace. Now, if you're worried about sexualizing the children, maybe I can understand that. But thongs and G-strings around the Australian beaches aren't anything new. Please keep in mind that these children also see more ass on that iPhone that's glued to their little butterfingers than they probably see at the beaches anyway. And if you personally just feel uncomfortable around all that ass, well, guess what? That sounds like a personal problem. And I care about your preferences probably as much as you care about mine. I mean, seriously, who doesn't love a good ass? So just to get a different demographical opinion, I brought in a friend of mine, Mr. Blackman. Mr. Blackman, how do you feel about the booty?
Can we say nigga on here?
Absolutely.
Nigga.
See? And there you have it. Everybody loves a good booty. Get ready for the type of shit that nightmares are made of. A man died mid-flight after breaking out in cold sweats and losing quote-unquote liters of blood. Now, the headline that I originally found said that it scared his fellow passengers. But I believe after you hear this, you're going to believe that they probably should have used the word traumatized. According to outlets, the man boarded a Lufthansa flight from Bangkok to Munich with his wife last week. Witnesses have been reported as saying that the man looked unwell upon entering the plane. He was already sweating and suffering from shallow breathing, but his wife claimed it was because they had to rush across the airport to make the plane. Despite their initial hesitations, the crew allowed the man to stay on the flight. After takeoff, the man started spitting up blood, which the crew responded by attempting to give him chamomile tea.
He needs some chamomile tea.
Then, all of a sudden, in what is being compared to a scene from a horror movie, blood started pouring from the man's mouth and nose, which also splattered onto the walls around him. Obviously, this led to a complete panic on the plane, with passengers left screaming and crying. Yes, scared as a headline? Come on now. The man was said to have lost liters of blood and was unable to be resuscitated. The plane was diverted back to the Bangkok airport where his body was removed from the plane. A couple at Colorado has been accused of abandoning nearly 200 bodies at the funeral home they own, which is known as the Return to Nature Funeral Home in Colorado Springs, Colorado. According to reports, the couple allegedly used payments for burials and cremations on vehicles, cryptocurrency, a $1,500 dinner in Vegas, and other items as well. According to the FBI, the couple bought a GMC Yukon, as well as an Infiniti, for more than $120,000, all of which was bought using the payments from the families of the deceased. The couple had a storage facility for their business in Penrose, Colorado, which is where the 190 decaying dead bodies were found. The building was said to be maggot-infested and made up of makeshift refrigeration units that were not in use when the bodies were discovered. According to text messages, the couple was actually worried about getting caught all the way back since 2020 and had actually toyed around with the idea of dumping the bodies in a big hole after treating them with lye or setting them on fire. A 200-foot tall tower was stolen from the WJLX AM station in Jasper, Alabama. Somehow a 200-foot tall tower was toppled, dismantled, and stolen, and somehow nobody saw a thing. The station owner and GM took to Facebook to explain what happened, saying that a crew was sent to the tower to perform a cleanup when he received a call immediately after them arriving. It seems that not only had his building been vandalized and every piece of equipment stolen out of it, but the 200-foot tower was also gone without a trace. Now, the owner personally believes that this was a professional job, as he doesn't believe that people off the street are capable of such things. But I do have one thing to say to that. These are Alabama hillbillies. They're built Ford tough. And if you sprinkle in some opioids or meth, which upon my research wouldn't be a big surprise, I may personally put money on the locals. I mean, I've even personally ran into a group of methed out hillbillies in the mountains of North Carolina that wanted to fix the blown engine of my Toyota Camry with a flathead screwdriver, a rubber mallet, a McDonald's straw, and a Hardy spork. Never underestimate a group of Southern folk on drugs. And to the South as a whole, that's not a compliment. A man in Calgary is being accused of peddling business cards with free samples of cocaine attached. Why does this sound familiar?
Mr. Nice Guy Party Accessories.
The man is now facing a half-dozen charges after his apparent cocaine marketing campaign at a local casino caught the attention of the Calgary police. Police became aware of his antics all the way back on Christmas Eve, when he was handing out said business cards with his alias of Alex Lee written on them, as well as a little bag of nose clams attached. The police were able to track down the suspect and tow him throughout the month of January to collect evidence. When he was eventually arrested by police, his residence as well as his car was searched, with police seizing 60 grams of pre-portioned cocaine, a digital scale, close to $1,300 in cash, and his signature Alex Lee business cards. A man in France has built a model of the Eiffel Tower for the Guinness World Record using over 700,000 matchsticks. But real quickly, I'm going to have to bring back in my guest this week. Mr. Blackman, where do you think they got all those matchsticks from?
Nigga, I don't know.
But unfortunately, the effort was initially outright rejected by the Guinness World Record Committee. According to the committee, the structure must be built out of matchsticks that are available to the public, with the red tips cut off. Now, this is what the man was originally doing, but after he realized how tedious it would be to cut the red tips off of that many matchsticks, he reached out to the manufacturer directly. He was actually able to order the matchsticks without the red tips, without knowing that this could possibly disqualify him from obtaining the record. The man said he spent 8 years and roughly 4,200 hours assembling 707,000 matches to create the world's largest structure built out of matchsticks, measuring in at 23.6 feet. So you can understand his initial disappointment when his application was rejected outright without consideration. It seems as though, in the community of building shit out of matchsticks, it's pretty common to go straight to the manufacturer. But now, after a scathing social media post, the committee has reconsidered its decision and has awarded the record to the man. And Guinness themselves apologized for being too rigid in its initial decision. So good for him. But also I hope we learned something from this. If at first you don't succeed, go bitch about it on social media. Just kidding, that's a complete bitch move and this whole situation should be taken as a one-off. South Carolina is looking to resume the usage of the electric chair and the firing squad in its execution techniques. Now currently, South Carolina has not performed an execution in over 13 years, due to the fact that the drugs that it used for its lethal injections was expired, and the manufacturers of the said lethal injection drugs refusing to sell more unless they can keep their identities hidden from the general public. Like what the fuck, what is it, Coca-Cola making our lethal injection drugs? I mean, would you be surprised? I wouldn't. Because of this, there's been a nationwide shortage on lethal injection drugs, which has caused U.S. states to add new execution methods to their death penalty protocols. For example, Alabama just executed a man by nitrogen hypoxia, a method that was authorized after 2 botched lethal injection procedures left 2 inmates alive, but probably wishing they were dead. Now, South Carolina's current protocol is to send all inmates to the electric chair unless they choose a different method. Lawmakers allowed a firing squad to be added in 2021 as a part of the same law that restarted the state's use of the electric chair. The state's first firing squad execution was scheduled for April of 2022, but a temporary stop order was placed by the state's highest court. Currently, Mississippi, Oklahoma, and Utah will allow executions by firing squads as well. But I'm not going to lie, I'm going to hit y'all with a quick hot take. I say, bring back public hangings. Is it barbaric? Maybe. But personally, I do believe that if the possibility of being hanged in front of your friends and your family is an ever-present possibility, I think a lot of our crimes would go down. I could be wrong, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Feel free to add your thoughts into the comments. I'd love to hear them. So I do believe that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. If you did make it this far and you haven't already, please don't forget, like and subscribe. I will be putting these videos out weekly, so I look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, take care of yourself and peace.